photograph. Don't need no video autograph. It's stereo. Have we become so hideous? Rotten to the core. Offensively oblivious. Ever wanting for more, Mr. Till. Take full advantage of an imbecile. Cut him off at will. Go ahead and shoot to kill.
You know, I understand the concept. I just haven't actually engaged in the conduct. So you got to make a distinction right from the beginning. You know, I've heard about this. I've never done this.
Mr. Till. Over 30 and you're laughing still. An exposition in the art of will. Hey, Mr. Till. Mr. Till.
The woman is engaged to get married and somehow swallowed her
Believe in miracles.
engagement ring. I know, you could fill in the blank there, couldn't you? Oh my God, it's Monday, as you know, on the EdTyll Show. We kick off every Monday with Chris Bass in Chicago. He's always got something interesting to share. We also have on the show today, it's so loud for Monday, isn't it? I mean, it is Monday. Could you just turn it down a notch, kids?
Grew up working class in a place they call the Bronx. Learned on the corner about the school of hard knocks. Found out his rap could be his salvation. Well, now he's talking all across the nation. It's the EdTyll Show. It's the EdTyll Show.
That's what I'm talking about now. Okay. Much better. Thank you. Yeah. So it's Monday. We have Chris Bass coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. He's always interesting to catch up with. See what's going on with his world and his weekend. Closer to home, we have a boxer that's going to be on the show today. A lady boxer. And this brings up all kinds of interesting questions about punching people in the face. I mean, that is what being a boxer is all about. If you want to be a great boxer, you have to be great at punching people out. So we'll talk about that. A lot of times you don't think of girls wanting to punch each other out. We have a professional puncher-outer on the show.
Come on, everybody.
I mean, you got to feel bad a little bit, but, you know, Duck Koo Kim, you could kill somebody in there, so it's not even just, you know, getting beat up. That can be it. Duck Koo Kim. Gotta look that up. Sounds like I would like to have that for lunch, please. I'd like 2 Duck Koo Kim, if I could. You could just be addressing the waitress whose name is Kim and go, Duck Koo Kim. Yeah. See, I don't care. It's Monday. Doesn't matter. Duck Koo Kim, come to Duck. What you want to do? Why would a woman become a boxer, you
Tell you
say?
about the coolest cat I
A lot of people are asking that question. Why would a woman? Ronda Rousey is the one that comes to mind, right? Wasn't that pretty horrible? I mean, she almost got her head knocked off her shoulders. And you go, girls, you don't have to do that. Boys have been doing that for centuries. The show.
Oh, yeah. You may not like what he has to say, that EdTyll.
Oh, no.
But he's gonna
Yo,
say it to
EdTyll.
you anyway. He's got the sharpest tongue in this whole damn town. EdTyll, he's the baddest cat around. Meow. If you catch my drift, are we copacetic here?
Are we copacetic, baby?
Come on,
5688.
Oh.
Can't come to the phone right now.
All right. That happens. It's Monday.
EdTyll's got all the news and storylines, talking about all the main events. He's just a voice in the wilderness. Don't make no sense. Yeah, so come on, everybody, to the EdTyll way of thinking.
So last week I'm asking people for their sizes of shirt if they work on the show. And I'm thinking of Chris. And I go, what size are you? And, you know, double XL maybe. He's a big guy. He is a 5XL. 5X, baby.
If you can't see the world out there, you better watch.
There might be somebody wearing a 5XL right in front of you.
Everybody to the show. To the EdTyll show. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I think he's calling right back. I think we got him on the other line. Hello, everybody.
Come on, everybody. EdTyll.
Yes, hello. How you doing, Ed?
Hey, come on, everybody. Chris Bass. It's the baseline. Good morning.
Good morning. Boom shakalaka to you, too.
Yeah, you know, I haven't used that in a long time. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that back. Mondays,
Oh, nice one.
Mondays in Chicago, I'm going to guess people are a little more polite than they are here on the East Coast. I mean, not that they're not irritated, but it just seems like we are so... I got yelled at twice today. I didn't do anything. I'm sitting in my car at a red light. Guy pulls up next to me, looks at me, starts shouting, peels off. A second guy shouting, peels off. Finally, I look up and, you know, my arrow comes up and I go. I couldn't wait to get out of the intersection. I got yelled at by strangers for doing nothing.
Well, you know, I think, Ed, Monday is universal no matter where you are. People just don't want to do anything. They got to go into work.
Right.
They're dragging their asses. They probably had a fantastic weekend, did not want to end.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I got to go to this gig.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's that mood, that somber mood. Don't mess with me. It's Monday type thing.
That's exactly what it was. And you could touch it. It's in the air. It's like, you know, when the air is really humid and you walk outside and you go, oh, wow, the air hit me in the face right there. That's what this was like. It was palpable. So, I don't know. First things first, how did your Bears do? I did not check sports results. How was your weekend football-wise?
First of all, the weekend was great. The Bears did well. They came through at the last second. We have a kicker now. He kicked a 53-yard field goal to beat our opposing team in Denver.
Nice.
And, you know, look, it was just beautiful. Anybody who could kick through the uprights, it's all right with us.
It's all right with you, right? Just getting in between the two.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a tense moment in football when that ball is hanging up there. You know, you were in Boulder, so that's even windier and the air is thin and whoozy watches. But you guys play alongside the lake. So any moment from after he kicks it until it lands, it can zigzag from the weather and the wind, and you guys have, you've seen that over and over. You got me missing Grant Park now, and that whole neighborhood. You know, Soldier Field, Grant Park, Hancock Building. How crowded? How crowded is it now? I bet there's a lot more people.
It's a lot more people nowadays. It's just, you know. And I'm not one for crowds. I mean, even when I was younger, I wasn't one for crowds. But crowds, it is what it is. The great thing about Soldier Field now is that they unveiled two statues right there in honor of Papa Bear Hallis, George Hallis, and also the great Walter Payton.
Oh, well, you know what? That I would like to see. I would like to see those.
That was epic.
What year was Walter really at his peak? When was he peaking? So I'm trying to place it in my own life. When was I excited? When did I first hear about, you got to see this guy Walter Payton? How long ago did that happen?
Well, you know what? Long ago, when the Bears, before they got the Super Bowl in 1985, that's all we had, because he was not only a great player in his position playing running back, he was a football player, period.
Right.
So he would at times would be positioned to throw the ball from a quarterback position. You know, he was a defensive player. We provide those hits
Is that right? He
for
did
other
all this?
players.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
this.
overall just fantastic. So that was, I want to say, around late 70s, early 80s, before the Super Bowl, Walter Payton owned this town. He really did.
You know, you're bringing up a point here. I don't know if you meant to or not, but I love what I just thought of because of what you said. The way Peyton was, right? You just said he could play defense, he could actually throw a pass, and of course, a great running back. And he was called Sweetness because of his moves. He was never fully still. Wasn't that his gig? Even when you stopped, even when he was halting, making a move, he was always moving. So even if you slowed him down, you never got him still where you could tackle him. You had to get him on the run, and he was always going to, get something more out of the tackle because he was loosey-goosey, and that was hard to do. So his sweetness is a hard one to see another guy come on. That's touch. That's like a piano player. That's you
really
and the way you're wired. But here's what you brought up. Wouldn't this be great? See, I would watch this on Sunday. What if, when we were kids, didn't we all do what Walter did? If you played football with your friends, you played offense, you played defense, you played quarterback, you played running back, you played wide receiver. You did it all. You blocked because you were playing a game, and that was that. Wouldn't it be great if you got incredible athletes together and you say, this Sunday you got to play both ways? You're the team. Figure it out. Get the kicking down. Like, you guys are it. Figure out who's kicking, just like in the old days. But you're great. You know football. You're adults. You got all these skills, but you have to do. I think that would be awesome. One of the things I never liked about professional sports was when they started this super specialization. Baseball is all about it, too. Designated hitter. Just wait until we need a hit. We know you hit well. Very specialized. Don't like it. It's not, I like Bo Jackson era. Walter Payton, the way, you play everything. You do, because why? Because you're just an athlete. No, I'm not a total athlete. I'm just, the kicker. Yeah, I don't do anything all day. I just kick that one time. There's something disingenuous about that. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm getting a case of the Mondays. But I'm like, that's not real. Am I being too crabby on Monday? Oh, God,
No,
Ed, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think we've become more specialized in the way we approach the game. Case in point, basketball.
Yes.
Overseas in Europe in basketball, you are taught to play all positions,
Right.
not just one.
Right.
So if you're a guard, you know about your two guard. If you're a point guard, you know about the two guard,
Right.
both the forwards and the center position.
Right.
What makes you more well-rounded and makes you more understanding of your teammates. So here sometimes, and not all the time, if you're playing basketball, okay, you play point guard, you play two guard,
Yep.
you two on the wings, you got somebody in the middle. So not saying they can't learn from their athletes, other fellow athletes, but when you're just in one position, in one mode, you become just that one person, that's it. But you see all these European teams or teams over different countries where they just know every position.
Well, soccer reminds you of that, right? Soccer is a game that there really is, a complete blending at any given moment. You don't know how a soccer game is going to go moment to moment. You do know,
That's true.
Guys up at bat, this is a long at bat. He's hitting off foul balls. That game has, gotten a little slower, and it's not as unpredictable because all that can happen is a strikeout, a home run, or a hit. In soccer, any moment, it changes the whole time. So, soccer to me is a tough sport. I don't know. I need more to do than soccer offers. I used to say soccer would be better. I would love soccer if there were 4 goals or 6 goals. It's like pool. You're banging that ball. Like the score would be 23-18. in soccer because you're scoring all over the place. Instead of it's beautiful. It's like a symphony. And a soccer team's coming down because you never know it's the winning come down in soccer.
Right.
It's only
Correct.
where that last guy winds up. And, even the great ones, if you miss the great one by 10 feet, it's done. He can't get to it. It's a flop. So if there were goals unattended, or not unattended, but let's say there were 3 goalies for 4 goals. That's it. So you can't stand still as a goalie. You got to run to the action, run back. So, yes, to be a lot more scoring, which I would love. I think then I would be so into soccer if it was like, wow, it was 4-2 when I left to go to the men's room. It's 7-5? What happened? Oh, man, there were 2 goals back to back. Really? Yeah, double header. The guy hit it off his head, went into the net, pitched it to him, hit it off his head again, 2 goals. Right. I mean, doesn't that sound fun? If the score was and a lot of fouls. I want a lot of rules like flags going, boom, 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 and different color flags, like a blue flag for this, or they have some of that. They got the red card. I think they put a card on you in soccer.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to knock anybody else's love for other types of sports, but I can't do it.
Well, you're not from Argentina. You're not from Argentina, right? If you were from
Argentina. But even I'm still from from Chicago. I've tried, man. I sat there trying to watch it. I do the old man nod. I fall asleep.
Right.
That's
another one about soccer. Soccer, if you fall asleep, they will beat you up and stuff you in a garbage can before you wake up. You mean what happened?
Good thing I did it at home, right?
I can't get that from my wife. Good night, everybody. So, right. So that's the thing about soccer. But what I learned from soccer is that it has an unpredictability football and NBA very unpredictable. That's my favorite moment in the NBA. The ball comes loose. Oh, I mean, even when you were a kid, I played all these sports. When I was a kid, we were in the Bronx, right? So that meant every basketball game in the street was like life and death because we didn't have anything else except this damn basketball court. So the big kids were so serious and, they'd get an injury, it'd be like a real injury. A kid would really bang his leg up, have to carry him off. It was cutthroat basketball above our age, older kids. So when I was into this, I don't know, I was like 8 and 10, 11. You don't know what to do. You put on you're 11-year-old kid, and you're playing like it's the end of the world because that's what you think you do. So that's how we came at all of these things. We came at it like the end of the world. So if there was a loose ball, we lunged across the concrete. We're getting scraped up, and there's no wooden floor where the guy wipes you up. We jump right onto the asphalt and bang our face up. Yeah, but we don't care because why? We're going for that ball. We're going for that. Right. It's the end of the world, It's it's a side street in the Bronx. EdTyll, Bobby Rogers, Joey DePiro jumping for a ball. Look out, look out. Yeah, come on.
And don't let us, when it snowed, it was lights out. You could tackle.
Absolutely. No, we had a sport. Absolutely. Love it. Now,
we would do, on the asphalt, we would do tag because we didn't want to scrape each other up. But let it snow. Yeah, it was lights out. We could tackle. We could, grab them by the ankles. Oh, yeah. It was beautiful.
Man.
Beautiful stuff.
I'll tell you, the safety that you learn as a kid, right? I just described to you, fall on the asphalt, you learn what happens. But remember the first time you learned that the snow doesn't hurt? And you could just flop on it. You could go face plant, no injury, no broken nose, no stitches, bang. And then then you start, like you said, you play football in it, and it's fantastic. You could dive for a pass, you go out fully extended, and you land in the snow.
Right.
And what kind of sled? I had them all. I had the dish, had the saucer, which I hated. I had it, but I hated it. I did not. No, it was a death trap because I couldn't maneuver it. The red one is with the steering mechanism up front. You lie on it, and you left and right with the. So, what kind of sled did you have?
We used shovels.
Wow.
So we would get on the shovel and then use the handle as like a guide. Now we'll also play King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
So you build this monstrous hill.
Yep.
And then you get on top of it. You have to climb it, and then somebody be on top. You have to dethrone him by throwing him off the hill, and then that puts the King of the Hill, and then you have to fight everything else.
I love it.
And we also use that hill to use our shovels to sit down and slide down with.
In King of the Hill, it must have taken 3 kids to get you down. They used to use me as a weapon against the big kid. They would just pick me up and throw me at the king to knock the king over, like use me as a rock. And then they would go get the King of the Hill. Did you win that a lot? I bet you won King of the Hill a lot.
No. Every now and again, I surprise myself. Like, wait, I actually King of the Hill? And that will last for 2 seconds. Because everybody, again, had this reckless abandon. Everybody, had the same cereal, the same food.
Oh,
They're all about the same size at that time. So it was evenly matched, yeah.
Do you know, I can't believe you mentioned cereal. Thank you. The best cereal ever. In the winter, ever. People go, oh, I want oatmeal. Nah. Cream of wheat. Nah. No, I'll tell you. Stand back, because, again, I'm going to make history when I say this. I'm going to save everybody $1 million on these shishi breakfasts. I want you to go get an orange box of Wheaties, and I want you to put warm milk onto those Wheaties, like almost hot milk. Dude, you won't need to eat, or you won't need a jacket for 2 hours. You will feel like you're made of titanium. And the thing I really loved about it was, when you're a kid, any kind of food for me, the volume. How much of this do I have to eat before I can go back and play? So with warm milk, hot milk on Wheaties, it breaks the Wheaties down, man. So you get the Wheaties go down in 1/3 the time. You'll eat it faster, and I use less sugar than ever.
Yeah.
But Wheaties, this is the great thing about Wheaties. When I was a kid and I first had alphabets, I was disgusted with the fact that I couldn't decide how sweet. I would say, how do you get, I said to my mom, how do you get the sugar off this? And she goes, what are you talking about? I said, how do you get the sugar off of this? She says, Edward, I don't understand. They put that on there. Don't you lie? I said, no, there's too much. She says, there's too much sugar on there? Because other kids are like, yeah, give me a, no. So I started rinsing, this is crazy, but I was a kid, rinsing my alphabets so that the top sugar was off and only the cooked-in sugar. It's a sick child. That's a sick child. That's a sick child. That's a sick boy who's going to grow up to be a media type. What else could that kid be? What a pain! What a pain in the ass. I can't think of anything
else right now. Right?
Exactly. He's such a pain in the ass. And my mom would say, Edward, like she wouldn't want to say to me like I would say. If I had a kid like me, I would say, "What's wrong with you? Shut up and eat the." No, my mom would say, What's the issue? Like, she would want to know. And I would always have one. I never not had an issue. What's the matter? I always had a matter. Most kids would go, nothing. I never said nothing. I have never, in the history of my life, answered the question, so what's going on? Nothing. I've nefor said nothing. Oh, my God, I feel like you're in my mom's kitchen. Now, if you were visiting and my mom, you and I went for a cup of coffee, say, come on, let's go visit my mom. I bet she's got food. That's what I would, because my mom always had something ready to go, or yesterday's thing that she preserved. So we'd go in there and she'd say, oh, Chris, hi. She'd get all excited about you. Every friend I ever brought home, or she would ignore me, talk to them like endlessly. And she also was nice. I used to tell her all the time, I go, why are you nicer to the other kids when I bring them around here? I said, I'm your kid. I'm the one you had. But it just seems like it'll be like, Edward, go get that. Now, buddy. Because my friend Buddy Toohey, that was the first one. So you'd be sitting like across from Buddy Toohey, me, 3 of us in front of an open window in a tenement building. And my mom would be standing 1.5 feet away with the kitchen laid out, sink, fridge, and grab the dishes. That's all you could do. You just stood in place. There was no walking around in the kitchen. She would say, come on in and sit down. Because if you stood, you were in her way. Come in and sit down. Now, she would say to you, oh, Chris, here's the good seat. She'd give you the good seat right in front of the window. Then there'd be Buddy. Right. Then there'd be Buddy Toohey. So Buddy Toohey would lead it off because this is the nicest kid. I met him in kindergarten. Good morning, Mrs. He would always, good morning, Mrs. Till. How are you? Like, he went the whole full boat. Good morning, and asked, and then kept looking at her, and she would say, oh, it's a great day, Buddy. Nice to see you. Sit down. And she knew he liked milk. Buddy loved a tall glass. If there was a large milk and a small milk, Buddy liked the tall one. He was a big kid. So she'd pour him a glass of milk, and he would dutifully say thank you, and like old days, he would start to drink it. Today, people go, oh, thank you. They leave it there, and then you say, geez, I poured that kid a drink, and he wasn't. Buddy would go ahead, thank you, and drink his milk. He'd have the mustache. She'd give him the neck. Yeah. I mean, it was just out of some movie. And then she'd come to you. She'd go, so, Chris, it's nice to meet you. What's life like in Chicago? Where do you come from? Where's your da-da-da? What school do you go? You know, she just couldn't. She was like Barbara Walters, and you were the celeb in her kitchen. That's it. Now, when you left, she'd say, okay, the TV's on in there. Go ahead. Ed, they're coming in now. She would turn you over. Oh, how you doing there, Chris? How's it going there? My son says that you're in Chicago radio. You know, my son used to be. So you'd be another one. He'd say, oh, my God, Mr. Till got a hold of me now. And he's, my dad was be another one. He's like, he's got to write your bio. So, nice to meet you there. And how'd you get into that radio thing there? And everything is there with my dad. How you doing there? Oh, my God. Then I would say, I would watch my friends. Then I just sit there and say, how long until they're going to say, hey, man, don't we have to go? What time does that movie start? Like, you just wanted to see how much of this, because for a lot of kids, it was a lot. Like, this was the most anybody talked to them all day.
That's true.
So, Chris, she'd say something like, oh, I love that sweater. Have you had, that sweater compliments you, or that sweater, oh, my God, it would go on and on.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, your parents sounds like great people, man. Nothing wrong. They know you already. They have you. But somebody else walking in, that's big time. That's interesting to them.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
It is one of those things. But real quick, I want to get your take on this. We've talked about sports.
Right.
So recently, former NFL player Tim Tebow was calling out his ESPN colleagues about should college athletes make money while in college. And I've been doing this topic for years.
Right.
And I used to be on the fence at one point. I one time said they should not be paid. They got the scholarship. They got the free ride.
Right.
Then I changed my mind because when I realized how much these colleges were making for these universities, whether it was football or basketball being the top two, they're making serious money. For example, if you look at basketball, the same with for football, but basketball coaches, for example,
right.
They sign their contract obviously with the university. Then they get a radio and TV deal for that college. Then they also get an apparel deal with Nike or Under Armour or things like that, and other streams of income. But the most ones I talked about were the ones outside their contract. And when these college athletes come in, I think Chris Webber said it best. Chris Webber was part of the Michigan's Fab Five.
Oh, I think a lot of sports fans can see that face right away. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's now an NBA analyst for TNT. So he was talking about the time when he used to be part of the University of Michigan, and he went to the store, and they had his jersey in there. And he wore number 4 for Michigan. And he couldn't afford the jersey. The jersey was, at the time, like $80, $90 to get a Chris Webber jersey that he cannot afford himself. So my point is, not all these athletes, obviously, are not going to become professional.
Right.
And because they're making so much money, and they've changed everything. So you have to look at it from this perspective. You have to understand that this is a business like anything else. So give them a stipend. You want to make it educational, have them take, a finance course.
Right.
To manage their money and things like that.
Right.
So there's a way to do it, but because I believe they're so stingy and money grubbing and greedy,
right.
They don't want to break their wealth. Well, what's your take on that, Ed?
Right away, I think it's a great issue. The main job of a university is education. And having athletics was supposed to be a way of balancing the education experience. We don't want them in books all day. Want them to get out there and do something. So, in the olden days, you got the rowing. In the modern day, you got all the sports that are pro sports now. College basketball, college football, as you said, it's a juggernaut of wealth and cash and network contracts. And, universities building things to look good on TV when the finals come and the playoff. So it is an industry. But I have a take on it. I'll give it to you. And this is going to be a little unconventional. And then they're going to say, but I'll give it to you anyway. I would like to reduce the influence and size of the total university system in America. I think it should really go back to, like, about 85 years, roll it back. You know how you do with your computer? If your computer crashes, they go, what date would you like to go back to? And your computer will be back what it was at that date. That's what universities need to do. All of it is lopsided. In other words, the energy, the money, and the commerce that goes into the elevation of these sports, right? The big stadium, the big staff, the big money machine it has to be, advertising, marketing, helicopters, scoreboards. This is all huge money, big money. All right, so that would have to be sized way down. All that gets slashed. What you would do with that energy is you would turn the university back into this mega study complex where 80% at any moment on campus is some either research academic or, here's a big one, helping kids who go to poor elementary schools, giving them like 2 years of you do this, and we're going to get you up to speed for college, and then get you in the front door. Take you from a D to a B+, take you from an F to a C+, and that's what we do, because why? We're geniuses, we're a university. We're all about brain power. We're about teaching. So that's what I would do. Now, they're going to hate me. They're going to tear me down, set me on fire over in the Ratskeller. But that's okay. I would say to them, this is an indicator. I don't want you to be IBM. If you're becoming IBM, something's wrong. If you have the same budget as IBM, you're wrong. If your facility is as big as IBM, and I know that's a bad example. I should say something like Google or Amazon. But it's the same thing. If you're a massive business, then you have missed the boat. Then you have screwed up. So that's what I would say to them. I'd say, this is the result. Look what you got now. Now you get these kids hungry because you're showing them that you have $45 million this season, and the kid can't buy his own T-shirt. So what are you doing with the $45 million? I'm not gonna buy this kid a T-shirt or anything. I get it. You've screwed up, but you're putting a Lamborghini in front of a high school kid. You're showing him a Corvette and saying, "Ooh, what do you want for your first car?" That's a Corvette. It takes a lot of money for that. So the money on the campus, to me, would be cut and then transferred into, this is a thinking colony. It's not a basketball legendary venue. That's what it is. Notre Dame, legendary venue. Okay, enough of that. That didn't help. If that was good, then we'd be doing great. If that was a good idea, we would know that. All right, Chris, I got to wrap up. We have a lady boxer joining us today. I'll ask you before I say hello to her. Heard about? Yeah. So what? I don't know. I'm going to ask the girl. Come on. I love it. I'm not going to lie. If a woman punches out another woman, it's so taboo. It's something you never see. Poor little Tina, my mom. Those women never fought with anybody. Put up your dukes, but the woman coming on is doing it. And Ronda Rousey got banged up pretty bad. It was hard to watch. What is your thought about a young woman becoming a boxer? Tell me in a quick, and then Karen, I know you're calling in. I'm coming right to you, girl. But go ahead, Chris. Give me a thought on that. Yeah.
Real quick, you have my support. You do what you want to do. I would say, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, but you are hurting somebody, if that's your profession, go on and do it. I mean, if anybody else could do it, you do it.
You're a good guy. When are you on the radio in Chicago? When my people, people that haven't been in Chicago before, they're going to go. They're going to go for tourism. They're going to go to visit Aunt Sophie. They're in town. They want to listen to you, and also they also want to listen to you online. That's a given. But when are you on that they can tune you in Chicago?
You usually catch me every Thursday on WVON from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Wow. I co-host with a guy named Art Sims. You also find me on Facebook. Go to Facebook.com, type in Chris Bass, Chris, B is in broadcasting, ASE. There are 5,000 Chris Basses out there. I'm the original. Boom shakalaka.
There you go. That's it. You are. And a long-time friend and colleague in broadcasting. Feels great touching base with you, Chris Bass, on Monday. Now, real fast, you told me your size. So when you go into a store and you go 5XL, what do? They go, I got one right here. Here's your 5XL. Or do they go, I'm sorry, sir, I'll have to order that. Or the factory does it. 5XL I've never seen. You're a 5XL.
Well, I go to certain websites now where they have 5XL because back in the day when I would go to stores before I went online, they're like, okay, we don't have that much fabric for you.
Right, that's it. Exactly.
Right.
Omar, the tent maker, doesn't work here anymore. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
No, you want to look thin, you hang out with fat people, my friend.
You know what? I got to give you so much love. Your voice, you're funny, and everything is a gift to us on Monday. Thank you so much, man.
I love you more, Ed. Have a good show. Take
you got it. I'll talk to you next Monday. Chris Bass in Chicago, WVON, 6 to 8 on Thursdays. Oh, man, I feel like going out to Chicago. When I first started out, all right, Karen, line is free for you. My apologies to our boxer. She's probably going to beat me up 6 minutes late. Boxer's going to come in and go, it's nice to be on your show. Boom. What was that for? 6 minutes? I'm a boxer. I'm going to punch you once for every minute. So anyway, it's going to be a great interview. And by the way, Rob, Conversations with Rob on YouTube. He and I did spectacular work on Sunday. You better be listening to us around the clock all 7 days now because we're cranking it up. They've always said to me, you should have your own station because you always want to be a... Okay, got one. It's called my own station. EdTyll. Here she comes. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I believe our guest, Karen Doolin, am I pronouncing that right, is on the line on the EdTyll Show. Hi, Karen.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Well, first I want to apologize I didn't wrap up fast enough and I saw you calling in, so thank you for that. Thank you for being on. Listen, I can't wait to talk with you. I come from the old world, right? I don't know if you were listening to, listening to the show about 15 minutes ago. I was telling my guest right before you how my mom would have treated him, and I'll give you the same treatment. She'd go, oh, hello, Karen. I heard you on Ed's show today. Oh, please come in. Here, sit down. What can I get you? And the women in my family would first they love other women. Like you would show at the door right away. Oh, honey, that dress you have on. Oh, that blouse. Oh, look at that lovely. And you'd be like, well, this is really nothing. Oh, no, yeah. They would make a big fuss and sit you down. Then they couldn't wait to talk with you. And they would be all over you. And you'd be like, I didn't even want to talk to these broads. I came here to talk to Ed. And now they got me with the doilies and they're putting down recipes. And so when you say to these women, oh, by the way, I'm a boxer, they're all going to go like, you mean at the store where you put clothing in a box? And you would say, no, I punch people in the face for a living and try not to get punched. So this is so fascinating for me to speak with you about how this all came about. When you were a little girl, were you emulating? Were you watching boxing?
I did watch some boxing when I was younger, Mike Tyson fights and such. But, it's something that I had always wanted to try. I wasn't, as a little girl, like, oh, I want to box. It's something that I thought about. Karate Kid was, like, my favorite movie. So, like, I always liked that, I was the underdog. I still am the underdog. So I always liked those kind of underdog stories and, triumphs over that. So, yeah, I mean, it was something that was in my mind, probably not as a little girl so much, but definitely as I got older, as I am older. But
Karen Doolin is our guest on the EdTyll Show. She is a Now, what is your technical boxing, grade, or what circuit, or where do you, at what level, maybe is the right word, do you box?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. I'm a professional boxer. I don't have any titles or anything like that. I'm someone who has been fighting. I've been fighting for 16 years. I turned pro in 2008. I had a small amateur background. As a female, it makes more sense to turn pro. Not so much now. Now there's more opportunity with Olympics and some of the amateur tournaments for girls. But when I was an amateur, those things didn't really exist. And that wasn't even that long ago, but things have gotten a lot better now. So I'm a pro. I'm not a hometown fighter. I'm the person that someone calls, and I go ahead and I get on a train, get in the car, get on an airplane, and I go and I fight anyone anywhere. So
now, may I, not to stop you, but doesn't that sound awesome? I mean, it's like a Jack Kerouac novel. You are just waiting for the yeah, we got Marianne Mobley here in Dayton. Yes, sir. Yeah, what's the address on that venue? Uber to the train station to the thing on the other side. Yeah, I'm looking for the such. Oh, yeah. So what do you do there? You're like, I'm here to beat somebody to smithereens. No, kid. That sounds like who's got a better life than you? Maybe no one. But I must ask, because I'm listening and I'm enjoying your company so much. So is the audience, I can tell. For that length of career that you just said, 16 years of doing precisely, again, it just sounds so much fun. How are you able to hold on, not get too many injuries, sound as great as you do? You sound like no one's ever laid a glove on you, and that can't be true. Right?
That's not true, no.
Exactly. So go ahead. What's the secret to being successful, happy to do it still 16 years in? How did you manage that? Because I could see people going, all right, look, I did it for a couple of years, but that was that. Especially the way you described it. What is it? What's clicking? What seems to be working for you? I mean, you sound terrific for being in the ring for all that long. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So I had a little bit of a break. I've turned pro, and I actually made my pro debut in the Bronx against Veronica Jeffrey, who's insanely talented and a champion. And I lost. Like, I got, I looked good getting beat up, but I got beat up. Like, I lost that fight. I started my career as a pro boxer with a deficit. I would never be undefeated. And that kind of continued. That sort of followed me, partially because I just always had the willingness to get in there with pretty much anybody, whether or not that was something I should have been doing. I did it anyway. Fast forward a little bit to maybe like 2011, 2012, some changes happened in my life, just personal things. And I kind of found myself sort of living someone else's life. And I wasn't, able to, like, I had a gym in my garage. Like, I was hitting the bag in the garage, like, kind of feeling sorry for myself. I had accumulated a ton of professional losses and, really had the wrong attitude about continuing fighting. I wanted to do it so bad. I was so in love with boxing, but I was, I was hurt. I was, like, mentally hurt by all the losses that I had and, emotionally a little bit as well, of course. And then here I am also kind of living a life I shouldn't have been living. I was fortunate enough to remove myself from that situation. And coming back, I had to change from the inside out to come back to boxing. I couldn't just think because I'm very fit and athletic. I've always been into fitness. I have natural athletic abilities. I'm older. I don't care. That's not an excuse for me either. But, in order to come back, I really had to look at all of my losses and why they happened. Yes, I fight in other people's hometowns, so of course that's a disadvantage, but I can't look at it that way because then it becomes an excuse not to win.
Right.
So I had to really look at those losses and say, well, what could I have done as a fighter in that ring to have made that a better experience for myself? And so I really had to, dig deep and change from within. And then obviously also change my training a lot too, because there were a lot of things that I was never taught. There were a lot of things that I just didn't understand. And I still still sometimes I'm like, man, this doesn't make sense. And I just
Wow.
don't execute it properly. So, there's always room for growth. in life, of course, but in boxing, it's infinite. There's always room for improvement. There's always something that you can do better. But you have to be willing to look at yourself and be honest. I mean, I can't be any more honest with myself than I already am. I have 20 losses. Most people would have quit. You know, most people would be like, I'm not going to, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to get back in the ring. And me, I'm just like, you know what? I love this. This is what I love. And, you know, when you lose and you keep going, that's a tough human being right there. That's
Correct.
a little different than
absolutely. No
you
question
being
about
on
it.
top. You know, you're a champion.
Right.
You're always winning. Everybody loves you.
There's
you know,
a lot, right? There's a lot of anesthesia in victory. You tolerate a lot,
Yes.
but man, when it's hurting and you're losing, then you have to ask yourself, right? So, what do you think it is? Is it the joy of the good punch and seeing it up close, and you did that? What's the real return on investment for you? When do you feel like, oh my God, this is why I do it?
That's a great question. So, you know, I think obviously, you know, I like the science behind the sport a lot. I've grown to like it even more just because now I teach it as well. But for me personally, my very personal reason, it's really, I boxed for me. I boxed because of all the times that I never stood up for myself before. You know, even when I'm getting in there and I might be losing a fight, I know I'm losing, I keep fighting. You know, that's not an easy thing to do when you know you're going to lose the fight.
You try to teach this to kids, actually. You know, that's one of the toughest things to convey to somebody, but with you it came built in. Now, is this your personality elsewhere as well? Like if you were working on your taxes or cutting the grass, you would also be all in on it, or is boxing where you really come into like, I'm all in this experience now?
I try to live my life with anything that I'm doing as something that I put myself all into. I'm very fortunate, like you said, you know, I am still competing as a professional boxer, and I don't get paid much, but I get paid a little something. It helps pay the bills. And but the rest of my life is right now completely centered around boxing instruction as well. So I'm very fortunate, and I built my life like that intentionally. I was given an opportunity a few years back, and at first I didn't think it was something I wanted to do, and it really grew on me. And
that is actually teaching. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. Now, what do you? Let me paint a picture for the audience on that. Are you mentoring, tutoring, or should we see 12 or 15 in front of you and you're starting to introduce them to the skills of boxing? What's the format in which you teach?
Anyone and everyone. So I literally teach everything from, Newport Box Fit is the organization that gave me an opportunity. I had gone into Newport Box Fit to help a fighter. This kid was like, I have a fight, and I'm like, well, who's training you? And he said, nobody. And I was like, that's not happening. Like, I'm going to help you. You know,
right.
where can we go? So he brought me there, and it introduced me to Jesse McCrae, who's one of the owners of Newport Box Fit, and you know, he offered for me to teach a class. And we do boxing fitness, but we also do other types of instruction as well. And at first I was like, man, I don't want to teach boxing. That was not, wasn't in my plans. It just wasn't. I thought I was going to go back to doing kind of like personal training and stuff. And as soon as I got back in there and started teaching, that's when I got myself back into the boxing gym and was like, I need to be fighting. This is what I belong doing. I don't know why I'm not doing this. And from there, it just grew. You know, I started with one class. There were maybe 2 or 3 people that would come to that sometimes.
Wow.
And now...
Wow. I mean, this is terrific. No, not at all. I want to wrap up with this. I'm going to spend a moment or two on this question because this is really, for me, the whole exciting part of having you on. You've taught us a lot in the last couple of minutes, but here comes the real big question, okay? And I'm telling you, that kid